go.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Yay.
Yay.
Hello. Super excited to be here.
Welcome to our Mindset Roundtable, take one.
Take one. We'll see how it goes.
Here.
Well, and everything is practice gets better, right? Everything with practice gets better. So it doesn't make perfect, it makes better. So we're okay. So that was just your little picture, and now we're gonna have
little picture,
our little Brady Bunch squares.
And then I'll make us spotlights. How about that? So we can have a conversation.
Oh, look at that.
You know, we're on a date.
So like our Zoom speed dating. Who else wants in?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I have some thoughts if you want me to start, because sure. I just was listening to something and I thought, oh my gosh, I've never had like a list of things that is all about how to manifest the life that you want. So if you guys are not into this woo-woo manifesting stuff or whatever, you want to hang around anyway, that's great. But if it's like, what is this all like? This is just our version of what we love about leading and growing and changing ourselves. Like the first year I was in network marketing, all I did was personal development. I made a little money. I had a little team. It was kind of fun. We had some customers. I sold a lot of product, but I was all about personal development. And I've always been about like I grew up with meditating and guided visualizations and stuff in our church, which was crazy, right? Back then when I'm almost 49. And I have always it's resonated with me throughout my whole life to believe in the power of our mind and the power of what we can create. And then here we are co-creating, right? This is so beautiful. So I want to do this every week if we can. We'll just kind of announce it as we go. But we'd love to just really focus with the people who really believe in this stuff and or are curious about it and open-minded to it. Stephanie and I were discussing earlier about, we just believe in the power of, like an overall energy that is part of all of us. We're all part of the same energy and we all can create things together individually. And I found this list of things today about manifesting. And it's everything is created twice, once in the mind and once in reality. And so then there's 4 different steps that you want to think about as you're creating and you're with your mindset and you're creating this whole thing in what we're doing. And this is all it's all going to tie into our business, right? But the first thing is imagination. Imagination gets kind of a bad rap because it turns into, oh, you're just dreaming or you're just pretending, whatever. But it really truly is part of creating what we want and what we are going to have. You think about people who have built skyscrapers or businesses or music or any kind of art, right? The first thing that begins is in your mind. So you start with your imagination. What do you see first, right? So in this situation with our business, what do you want? What do you see? What is your vision? And that's why it's so important to do vision boards and guided visualization type of meditations and things like that, because it really does get your mind in the mode of visualizing and creating what it is that you want, right? And so when you create within your imagination, all comes from that. Everything ends up coming from that, right? So the second one is your focus and your attention. Where are you focusing? Where are you putting your attention at? Because wherever it is that we're putting our focus, if your focus is it's going to grow no matter whether it's good or bad. So if your focus is on the bad and the lack and the worry and the doubt, that is going to it's going to be what continues to be created within you and without your outward stuff as well, right? If you continue to feed that, it's almost like a little, I don't know, it's like a parasite or something, right?
Mosquito. It's a mosquito in a pod, right? It's just going to feed off of each other and they're just going to duplicate. And that's where the energy comes from, right? So whatever you focus on or pay attention to, that's where the energy is going to focus itself to.
Absolutely. And we're all going to have those human experiences and feelings. That's what happens. We have that knee-jerk reaction of negativity or doubt or things like that. But it's really all up to us to stop and shift it elsewhere, to go back and focus on what are the positive things? What are the things I do want to create, right? What do I see? Not allowing.
It's a skill that you can learn and you have to teach yourself. And I literally had to physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually teach myself to be positive and to catch myself in saying, well, that's never going to happen. Oh, but wait a minute, why would you say that? And where's the silver lining in every horrible situation or every negative situation? I had to literally focus my attention on switching the narrative in my head. And so the more you do that, the more you catch yourself going, oh, wait, why would I don't, I won't, I can't. Those are not part of my vocabulary, but it took years for me to get that in play. So yeah, very much.
Do you agree though that it's still part of your knee-jerk reaction?
100%.
Yeah, human
100%.
reaction.
100%. And I catch myself doing it, but I'm more aware of it than I was when I was 14, when everything in my mind was negative. So negative. I was this happy, jolly girl, but in here, it was a dark, dark, dark place. And it was negative. I'm like, I will never have a real friend. I will never meet a great guy, and I will never look that good, and I'll never be that smart, and I'll never, it was always that negative talk. And I still creeps in. She still creeps in every so often, but I catch it. So that's the important.
It's like a workout at the gym. You have to just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and creating that within yourself. And you're still going to have setbacks. You're still going to have times where you're not perfect with it, but that's what we're here for. We're here. Don't you think, like, we're here to learn lessons and go through all this stuff and get better at all these things?
And it's not a coincidence that you and I connected. It's just the timing. You were thinking about it for a while. It's because you were waiting for me. And, and, and I was thinking about it as well, but I had to step up in order for me to be able to ask and find the person that I wanted to share this with. And it's the same thing. It connects in all of those moments. It's when you are ready and ready to let go, when everything comes back to you. It's like talking about those boundaries, right? And closing those doors. If you close the door, you can't get through, right? You physically can't get through. And we talked about that earlier today. It's like when an opportunity comes in front of you, if you say, oh, I can't do that. It's like the cruise, right? Oh, I can't do that. Well, what do you mean you can't do that? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. But if it's like, imagine standing yourself in the middle of a doorway and you take the door and you slam it in your face. That's going to hurt. Why would you do that? Open the door, take a peek, look around the corner, see what's inside. You never know what can happen. So why not? Why not try? Isn't that what we teach our kids?
Today. That's what we were talking about earlier too, is one of my favorite things to say is my grandma used to say, try it, you might like it. I said that last night on an interview with Christine, where she was saying, what kind of advice do you have for people who are thinking about doing this, but maybe they're a little scared or something? And it's, I'm always just like, oh, try it, you might like it. Right. So, I love that. I love just knowing that, like, whether it's you're already in the business or people who are thinking about being in the business or whatever it is that you're wanting to do in your life, not just business stuff, but like, just take that next step. That whole, you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step.
Yeah. And all you have to do is open the door. You don't have to take the first step. Just open the door. And I think what we do, isn't that what we hear day in and day out when we ask somebody to look at the opportunity or just have a conversation? What are the first things you hear? Oh, I don't have time. I don't know anything about sales. I don't have a big enough following. I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if I can do this. There are so many no. It's constant. And I was the same. I said the same thing for 3 months. And then my sponsor, she just never gave up on me. I'm like, fine, I'll join. And then I'm like, what am I doing? But little did I know that it would change my life. And it's allowed.
Just out of curiosity, how long was it till you kicked it into gear? Did you run as soon as you came in, or did it take you a few months? Or
no, I jumped. So she asked me for 3 months and I said no. And I joined for $1 on the very last day because I had no commitment whatsoever. She's like, why don't you just join? It's $1. If it doesn't work out, I'll buy you a coffee. I'm like, fine. And then I joined for $1. And I'm like, do I need a website? She's like, yes. And I'm like, so at the time the website was $12.95 a month. By the time I left, it was $17 a month. And I'm like, I need a website, right? And she goes, well, how else are people going to order? I'm like, okay, fine. So I did that. And then she's like, just ask people to host a party. It was in-home partying. And so I asked every single person I knew. I said, I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm getting myself into, but this looks really cool. Do you want to host a party? And people always said yes. They said, sure, I'll do it. And I did. In my first month, I sold $7,000.
Wow.
And then we'd have catalogs and I'd be like this. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out. And I like look it up and I'm like, literally no clue what I was doing, but I was excited and it was fun. And I just wanted to be in a room with women. I was running a daycare for 7 years and I just wanted adult conversation and I loved the products. And so as long as you love what you're doing And I was being 100% transparent. I was like, I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. And I didn't have the leadership and the support and the systems we have here. I had to learn everything by myself. So I did it the hard way. And then it got to the point where I was like, you know, should I keep doing this? I'm not sure, but I really liked it. And so when you like something, you should invest more of your time and energy into it. And I said, I don't know if I can keep doing this. This is a lot for just 25% commission. Sorry, my dog is freaking out and I don't know why. Anyways, and so I said, maybe this is just not worth it for 25% commission. And then but I loved it. And so of course, a really nice incentive trip to Hawaii came up. And if you promoted to the first leadership, it went up to 35% commission. Well, now I'm talking business. So I went all in. And when I tell you, don't count yourself out, I mean it because I've lived it. I had 6 months to get 50,000 points and promote to director and get 7 signups to sell $1,000 each. That's a lot. So I had to become a leader. I had to sell about $35,000 in 6 months, and I had to sign up 7 people, and they all had to sell $1,000. I'm like, this is, how am I going to do this? And I cried, and I went through the ups and downs, but I I never gave up. And I had my Hawaii and it's like a bucket list place, and I wanted to go to Hawaii. I had stickers everywhere. I did. And I earned the trip literally 24 hours before the deadline. I got one more Pika. They used to be called Pikas. And I was like, I can't believe I'm going to Hawaii. And so when I tell you, don't say no, like everyone even said 6 months, you can do it, but it's going to be hard. I'm like, okay, I'll try. What do you got to lose? What do you have to lose by trying? And I ended up taking my husband on an all-inclusive paid trip to Hawaii for 5 days. We extended it an extra 5 days because the company was paying for the flights. But when I tell you to try, and if you have it in your mind, like you were saying, focus, imagination, attention, energy, and you manifest that, and you believe in it, and you visualize it, and you see yourself on that beach in Maui, you know, and drinking the coconuts and all of the things, it will happen because you believe it. You've already set that in motion. And 24 hours before the deadline, I had a girl place a $300 order from her party, which qualified her just like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, boom, it happened. And I have many stories like that. Like I can tell you, the more you tap into that, the more you believe in that, the more it will come through for you on many different.
And not focusing on where it's going to come from. Like I said earlier, not having just know it's coming and knowing and believing it's going to be there, but no expectations of from where. I think a lot of times in this industry, we focus so much on this leader is going to change my life. This one person is going to come in and change the trajectory of my business. This if I could just get 2 more of me, right? We focus so much when we talk to someone, we get so stuck on that one person or a few people that you're talking to, and you know they're going to join. It's like, no, you just keep sharing and you keep talking about it, and the right people are going to feel that. And that's the other thing too, is I mean, your energy that you put out into the world is going to attract, or it can repel people, right? So when you seem kind of desperate, or I'm hanging on the edge of my seat waiting for you to do this, well, then that's going to sometimes repel people. And even if they don't realize it, sometimes it's going to put them off to not wanting to do it. Even something simple like in my power hours, a lot of times I say, here's a script. Go ahead and send it to 10 people, or send it for the next half an hour, or whatever, you know, whatever.
Right.
But I always say, if it doesn't feel like you, don't send it. Go tweak it, change it. Just don't make it longer. I always say, keep it short and small, but don't, because I really believe the energy that we put out there, whether it's the words that we say, whether the actions that we create, even if it's on a Zoom, like I can feel Stephanie's energy here. Like we are like, we could sit and talk for like hours and hours.
I know.
But same thing with on our phones, when we are inputting all of those messages or speaking into a whatever and sending it to someone to offer them the opportunity or to offer them the products, they can feel it if we feel lack or negativity or worry, or that we're feeling scared to do it, or you know what I mean?
She doesn't believe in herself. This kind of sounds salesy, but they know it. Everyone. So when we talk about your gut instinct, that's what that is. that's your intuition coming off. So when you meet somebody, ever meet somebody and you just like get that weird feeling that there's something off about that person, that's legit. That's the energy that they are projecting. Or it's also your energy protecting yourself, telling you, you know, red light, hello, something's up here. Or you just feel like you could talk to somebody for hours, or you feel like you've known them your whole life, but you just met. That's also energies because you're in line. And so when you were talking about that, I have the saying where your vibe attracts your tribe. So whatever you put out there is what it's like a beacon, right? It's just searching and searching and searching for people. So a lot of times we hit these walls where we're just messaging people over and over and over, and you're constantly getting these no's. And if you're just not getting reception back, I have to remind myself, well, what is it that I'm putting out there? Because clearly, if they're crickets ignoring me or not responding, there's clearly something I'm doing that's not authentic, because it should be coming back at some point, right?
Yeah, especially if you're doing a script and someone else gave it to you and it doesn't feel like you, right? The other thing that made me think of when you were just talking about that is how often do we talk to someone and we think, I don't know if I even, you know, intuitively, right? If you like someone or not, if you really, would you enjoy working with that person? When we close, it's just like a relationship in real life, right? I mean, like an actual like spouse relationship or a partnership relationship. You know when that person is right for you and when they're not. And when sometimes we hold on, I don't want to hurt them. I don't know if I can start over. I don't know if maybe I'm too old to have another relationship. Maybe this is good as it's going to get. But when we release that and we close that door, other people come into our lives that we can be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this could exist. Right. So same thing with business partnerships. If you release the people who are not working with you in alignment, right? It doesn't mean they have to quit or not. They don't have to just not do the business anymore.
Right.
But maybe when you kind of release that need to kind of hover or train them or work with them hand in hand, and you release that, and or maybe they leave the business, that's okay. But when you release that without having the fear in the lack mentality, you're going to open the door for new people to come in, you know, and just have that belief.
It's like the funnel, right? Your funnel gets full, but eventually it's just a funnel full of gunk. But if you clean it up and let that negative space or that negative energy falter down and get through, now you're creating space for more. It's the same thing. It's allowing that to kind of clean house. It's exactly what it is. Okay, what's your number 3?
Okay, so number 3 is feelings.
Oh,
how do we feel? So all our guidance is within you. So everything that you could, we don't really need guidance from anywhere else. We can all have our own beliefs, our own thoughts, and, you know, religions or church or different things, right? But I love this piece of it because all of us have our own guidance system. I actually like to call it their instruction manual for life. Your intuition, it just means you know best.
You know,
nobody else knows better than you do, because you are like a source of energy that is connected to everything else and everybody else. And when you have a feeling and it's good or bad, where do you put your energy towards? Where is it going to be created from there on out? Like what more are you feeding into that, right? And then what was the thing I was gonna step back from bad? Oh yeah, so when you step back from the bad pieces and you release those, and then you bring in the good feelings, what makes you feel good? What makes you feel like
live?
This is really good. Like I can tell you, I was scared to do welcome calls. Like Tina Joy Carroll taught us how to do welcome calls, and it's so simple. They're so simple, but they're so powerful. So when I stopped being a little bit fearful and knowing I can bust out the whiteboard, I can show them what a 10 and 3 looks like, how they're going to make $2,000, right?
Yeah.
And yet same thing with you with the power hours, right? When we have these feelings, and they, even if they're a little bit scary, but they're exciting, and they're a little bit like, oh God, am I good enough? Of course you're good enough. Of course you're capable of doing all the things. We all are. But if something feels yucky, then step back from it and then look at from a distance and think, how can I create a different reality here for myself, right?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that? So you make a choice, and does it feel good? Does it feel bad? You turn away from the yuck and you turn towards the positive. Like, where do you find, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And talking about fear is really important, because people also, I heard a really good quote once, and she's like, don't confuse excitement with anxiety, right? So it's like, it's the same emotion. It's the exact same. When you get anxiety, but it's the same as getting excited, but it's all mentality. It's all what you're thinking. And also don't confuse fear. Don't let fear be the thing that stops you. Sometimes fear is, it's just the excitement of the unknown. So you can't have fear without courage. So fear and courage work literally together. You need courage to power through the fear, and you can't have fear without having the courage to try something new. So they literally are the flip side of each other, but you need to literally push yourself through it because you don't know what's going to happen on the other side. So I used to stay at jobs that I absolutely hated because I have like debilitating anxiety, like to the point where my body would physically freeze from the anxiety. But it's just because it was the anxiety and the fear of someone judging me, being rejected, stumbling on my words and saying something stupid, or being silly and just not being professional. I was just so afraid of being judged because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted the job so bad, but I wanted to be perfect when really all I had to do was be myself. So I would literally shut down my body. And then after the interview, I would be totally fine and I'd be completely exhausted. And then I would kick myself and say, why? Why did you put yourself through that? When really, if I would have turned it around and said, I'm so excited to go for this interview. Like I remember I was trying to be a flight attendant and I wanted to go in for this because I love traveling and I was like 21 years old. So why not? And I was so excited, but I mentally switched it to anxiety and fear, and I'm scared and I'm going to screw this up and I'm going to fall flat on my face. And guess what I did? When really I was just excited. So don't confuse the excitement and the adrenaline and thinking, oh, this is not right. Tap into those feelings. Stop and think to yourself, well, I'm going on my first date, or I'm going for an interview, or I'm going to a whole new place and I have to do a speech, or I'm about to meet someone for the first time that I think would be amazing for this opportunity and is a top 7-figure earner in another company. Don't assume they're going to say no, just be yourself and just have that excitement. So I think tapping into your feelings is really, really key. And one thing I really struggled with is grounding myself. I've always been told I'm not very grounded because I'm kind of all over the place. So I have to ground myself. And the one way to do that is to tap into your feelings, tap into what you're doing, have a conversation with yourself. But what I've known is when I connect with the nature and I go outside and I put my feet in the grass and I feel the sun on my face and I walk into through the trees and I hear the birds and I become aware of my natural surroundings, that's when the inner voice gets really loud. That's when I can actually hear myself going, what is your deal, girl? You just need to do it and just be yourself. And if those that don't intertwine with what you believe, they're just going to make a right turn and they're going to go find someone else. But what if the person that you've been wanting to connect with hears you, sees you, and then anything is possible? So tapping into your feelings is so key, and listening to yourself. Just stop all the noise, right?
Yeah. And letting yourself know that when things change, when things seem like, oh no, that didn't work out, there's always a reason, I can promise you. And what happens so often is when you say, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. Well, I guess I'm going to meet somebody new today. And maybe they're going to change my life, or vice versa, or both. Right. So Tiffany Conley, who was on here earlier, when we first started Turnaut 2 years ago, she had already purchased convention tickets and flights for a whole other company. Whoa. And she's on the phone with me, kind of almost crying, like, I want to go to the Turnaut one in August, but if I do this one in July, I've already paid for everything. I can't go to that too. I've got to take time off work and more money. And she was just like, she's like, I don't feel aligned there anymore. I don't know what I want to do. And I said, just go. There's a reason. Who might you meet there? And I'm like, don't go and try to recruit everybody. Just go make friends. You're going to make some connections. You're going to start having these people in your life maybe you didn't know, or maybe people you're going to get to know better. So I'm not saying I told her to go recruit everybody, but guess what happened? Because she created relationships, and I said, just go make friends. Enjoy yourself. There's a reason you're going. She had a huge team of people in the fall that came and joined her from that experience. They weren't in her team over there, and it wasn't her trying to do anything, but that company started failing. And so because she had made that connection with all those people and those friendships, they went, oh, what's Tiffany doing over here? Because this isn't doing too well over here. And so before she left, it was just like, don't stress about it. Just go and have a good time, you know?
Right.
And the other thing something else we worked on too with her before she quit her job she was working a physical job and it was very painful. And I said, she would message me or call me and be like, I just don't like my job. I just can't wait till I can quit, things like that. Right. And I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this story, but she was just not happy going into her store this building every day, that she had to go see people that were negative, people she didn't like working with. And I said, what I want you to do every single day, and this is the reason why I'm telling you this story, is that your feelings and the way you feel about where you are physically in your presence in life is going to really affect you. And so I want you to do this anywhere and everywhere that you go, whether you have a job, whether it's you going to Walmart and you don't like Walmart because people are whatever they are there, right? I said, it doesn't matter where you're at in life. If you're going into something that you in your mind goes negative towards normally, what I want you to do is go in with a smile on your face and say, I'm so happy and grateful for this situation. I said, be grateful for the job that you have. It's providing an income and it's where you need to be right now. And that's okay. I'm happy and grateful for this. My body is healthy. I'm like focusing on the positive things because she was physically not doing well. But I'm going to talk about that your body is healthy. My body can withstand this. I can keep going. And then I said, when you're in those buildings and those offices of different people that you normally would say, I don't like them, whatever. I said, you're going to stop yourself and inside. Don't do this outside. I do it at Walmart. I promise you, I was at Walmart today and I did it today because a lot of times we want to be judgy or look at people like, but you never know what people are going through in their lives. You don't never know all the yucky stuff that's been put on them or that they've put on themselves. We don't need to contribute to that. So what I do is I walk around and in my head, I say, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I mean it. And I genuinely feel like I love you. I love the human that you are. I love the soul that you are, the person. You're there for a reason. And everybody's in our life for a reason. Even if it's someone we're just passing by in an aisle in a store, your energy is connecting to that person. And if you're putting out yucky negative vibes because that person doesn't look X, Y, and Z, or they don't act like whatever, or they don't seem to be the kind of person that you would get along with, or whatever. We make weird judgments on people all day long. And so when we're putting those vibes out there, that is part of it. It creates a dis-ease inside of us because it creates turmoil inside of us, right? Like when it's a tiny, tiny little speck of a moment, but when you think something negative or yucky like that, it creates pieces inside of you that's kind of toxic. And so it's so important to create and actively create this positive like vibe and version of what you want to put out there, whatever you want to bring back, right? Just like another thing, I'm just going to touch on this too, and then we'll go to number 4, because number 4 is one of the most important pieces because we don't want people to think it's all woo-woo crazy magic, right? But I've taught my children this since they were little. So this is an example, and this is what I want you to all think about when you live your life on a regular basis and you're interacting with other humans, because we want to say that person made me mad. That person cut me off. I'm so angry because that person made me unhappy. That person pissed me off. I'd like to whatever, right? So I teach this to my children, and this is a small scale of imagine what you have gone through and participated in your everyday life, all of your life sometimes. In this, like, imagine your versions in this little kid version. Okay. My daughter at 3 years old was sitting in the back seat. Her brother was a couple years older, 3, whatever, getting out of the car at school. And I remember this so clearly because we still teach this lesson to my kids, but this is the first time I remember she's old enough to understand. Huh? Oh, we'll put her in her crate then. Sorry. That's my daughter right there. So she's almost 8, but this was when she was 3. Miles gets out of the car. I don't know what happened. I didn't see the interaction. I was driving. I pulled up. He gets out. We start driving away, and I see her in the rearview mirror.
All mad.
She's like that. And I said, whoa, what's going on? And she goes, her cute little voice, Mayo's made me mad. And I turned around. I pulled over, and I turned around, and I said, wait a minute. I said, Miles made you mad? And she said, yeah. And I didn't even ask her why or what he did. I said, well, let's talk about that, because nobody can make you anything.
No, you allow it.
Nobody can make you feel any which way that you don't choose to feel. I said, so I don't know what Miles did, but guess what you can do? You can decide to be happy and joyful and know that whatever he did, that was on him, and you and how you feel is on you. That's your responsibility, how you decide to choose. Because all that happens, and it's just like if somebody cuts you off in traffic, and guess what? You're speeding along the highway and they come and buzz in front of you and then take off. And then guess what most of us want to do? Like bleep, 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 whatever, right? And you're driving and then you want to catch up and you like want to stare at them or whatever it is that we do. Sometimes all we do is it's here. Sometimes we don't do. Sometimes people get really mad though, and they actually do want to speed up. And so here's the thing, we could do all day long. Well, maybe their mom's in the hospital. Well, maybe their wife's having a baby. It doesn't matter. Maybe they're just in a bad mood. Maybe their tooth hurts. It doesn't matter how little or how big, whatever their reasoning for that. Sometimes they have no clue that they even did what they just did. And that it didn't even phase them. Maybe they're in spaced out. Maybe they're in that meditation zone where a lot of times we get home, we don't even remember how we got there, right? So that doesn't matter. And none of that matters. It doesn't matter what their purpose, all their purpose in your life was for you to learn the lesson of not allowing other people to affect how you feel, because all it does again is create dis-ease inside of our body. And when we allow those kind of feelings over and over and over, and look, we're talking about feelings, so it's perfect, but when we create those feelings, we create those feelings inside of us. And we choose to not go there, we are at so much more ease. Our body is at ease rather than creating dis-ease, because over time it's like a big pile of poop. You just let's add more on there, like I'm scooping the poop. That's all it is. And just piling it up, and then pretty soon it's so big and it encompasses your whole body and your whole body.
And everything that you're saying as you're talking, and it's reminding me is that it's not about you. That person cutting you off, it's not actually about you. But the lesson is to protect yourself, protect your energy, and protect your boundaries. It's creating those boundaries to not, it's kind of like a ping pong ball, right? The ball's gonna come at you, but you're just gonna reflect it right back. It's teaching you how to not let the road rage or the dog affect you, or the person who doesn't respond to your messages, or every time you make plans, they cancel on you. It's about them. And it's really hard to take those moments and not take it personally. But what it's teaching us is the boundaries and to protect our own power and to teach us that everyone has their own thing going on. And so when sometimes it's as simple as when you are driving and you see that there's this mom in a minivan, and you could tell like her energy, and she just needs to get somewhere. You slow down, just let her go through. Let her go through.
What does that hurt? It doesn't hurt anything.
It doesn't hurt. And then it's just creating that constant vibe of creating that energy around you, that it's not about you, but you letting her go ahead of you in time will just improve her day, because it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. So it's what you say to yourself, it's how you treat others, holding the door for somebody, letting somebody go ahead of you, stuff like that. It's such a simple thing, but you just never know how that's going to affect somebody else's day. And on the days that you feel down and out of it, the universe always pays it back. Right? What you put out comes back tenfold. For every finger you point, 10 more, right?
Even if it's just your feelings, you're putting those out into the universe is going to give you right back all of that. Whatever we put out is what we're going to receive always.
So when we were talking earlier about the cruise and how people are saying, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. Well, yes, you can. But you're telling the universe you can't. You're saying the words already. You're slamming the door in your face again. What if, what if, what if? And I'm the perfect example. When I got my Maui trip, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And it's about manifestation and about believing in that and protecting what is in your space. Feelings are everything. Tapping into your feelings. And if you don't know how you feel, then you need to stop everything in its tracks in that very moment and have an honest conversation with yourself. And go, why am I so upset? Why am I so down? Why do I feel like I don't have the energy to step forward? Why? What is missing? because you need to find what excites you. Like if some people get excited by gardening, some people get excited by hanging out with their family, playing with their dog, going for a walk, listening to your favorite music in your car as loud as you possibly can. What is it that excites you? What is it that creates that energy inside you, and tap into it over and over, and connect yourself and align yourself with people who believe the same thing, have the same energy, the same vibrations as you. Ever be in a room with somebody and after you've hung out for like an hour, you feel like you need a nap, like you're so exhausted from, it's because they've been draining your energy this whole time, and you're just like, I don't know if I can hang out with them again, because it's just so draining, right?
So I have a question for you then. I used to call those people energy vampires, right?
Yes, they are.
I'm curious. I feel like my light was too bright. I was all iridescent looking. What do you do though? So I like to switch my mindset. I like to switch something. What can I learn from that person? Because sometimes you cannot avoid those people, right? And those people are going to be there, and they're going to show themselves to you in their form or another form over and over and over again until you learn your lessons. And we're going to get getting kind of deep here, but until we learn the lessons we're meant to learn,
we got to get to the pivotal moments. But
well, I mean, I used to work in domestic violence. I was a domestic violence PO, and I learned about something called the cycle of violence. And I really believe that there is a cycle of the lessons that we need to learn here. And the cycle of violence was everything's wonderful honeymoon stage, and then it starts going bad, and then there's abuse, and then, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. Everything's honeymoon fees. Like this, it literally was like a cycle, right? And I supervised these people. It was a lot of work, but I love that I learned from that about that, how that has created. And I used to go, why wouldn't she just leave him? What's wrong with her? I understood then.
Understand, right?
But we do this cycle of violence or cycle of abuse or cycle of neglect or whatever you want to call it. We abuse ourselves in our own minds, and we create these things. And then like with other people, when they come into our lives and we don't resonate with them, or they're energy vampires or whatever, what do we do to raise our vibration and awareness, learn from that? Because I really believe everything's here so that we can learn from it. And if you don't take care of it and get better with that, and how you respond and how you feel inwardly, then you're always going to have those people show up. You're just like the person who's in an abusive relationship. The abusive relationship, the person gets out finally. Guess what? Their next one is usually that same thing, or a druggie, or someone that's not healthy for them, right? Because they haven't learned internally what to do.
That's exactly what it is that you're saying. It's going to keep happening until you learn the lesson. So as you're saying this, a bunch of stories popped in my head. So here's a perfect example that I think everybody can relate to. We have people in our life that are what you call vampire suckers. Is that what you called it? Energy suckers?
Energy vampires.
Vampire suckers. Oh my goodness. Where I think of them as what's that thing that goes in the water, that the jellyfish. Jellyfish.
Oh, okay.
I think of them as jellyfish. I don't know why, but I do. And there may be someone in your life that you've known for 20 years. You've known since you were kids, or you were best friends in high school, and then your paths go a separate way, but you just have so much history that you kind of just, you've gone left, they've gone right, but you have so much history, and you had those good times and those really good times. But as you've gotten older, your lives have become polar opposites, and you don't really connect on the same level. So when you get together, it's a little bit like draining, or there might be lessons that are being learned that are not, it's not the same like it used to be. That to me, sometimes I feel like people hold on to the history of the relationship. We've just known each other for so long, so I'm just going to put up with it. You don't necessarily have to. And so I had a friend that I've known for years, but it was always me tapping in, right? Let's get together. Let's go out for dinner. She'd cancel. Let's do this. Let's do that. Yeah, absolutely. I'll call you back. Never call me back. We would make plans. She'd cancel. She would make plans. She would bail, or something always came up. It was always something. There was always an excuse, and it was exhausting, and it was just draining. And so at one point I finally had to say enough is enough, and I'm just going to stop. And then I pulled away, and I started tapping into the people that did want to see me and hang out and all that. And so when I came back to hang out with her finally, probably like a year later, I felt like I had outgrown the relationship, because I had tapped into other people and other energies that were feeding me, where now I don't need to put up with it. If you want to see me, like it just didn't feel the same. So as you're saying this, it's all about creating those boundaries to protect us from the negative.
Well, and if you think about it in the business aspect, what you just talked about, how often do we have someone who's in our team as a leader or as somebody who just brought someone in, and you start realizing really quickly that they're that person, and then we hold on to them because we have, guess what, we have the lack mentality. It's just like when we wait to, like, oh, it's the last day of the month, this person wants to sign up, I'm going to tell them to sign up next month because I don't need their volume this month, and then if they join next month, it'll go towards next month, right? So in our mind, we're giving that lack mentality of, I can't bring in more next month as far as volume or people or whatever. So when we have someone in our life, in our business, and in our life, honestly, when we have that fear, that lack mentality, we hold on to them so tightly and we keep abusing ourselves, whether it's just mentally or whatever, right? They're draining us. When we release them, if they decide, oh, maybe it's not for me, well, maybe it's not for you. It's not for everybody. You know, let people release people. If they feel like this isn't where they want to be, don't try to desperately hold on to them. Same thing if someone says, I'm not really interested. Don't desperately try to talk them into doing this, because you'll be talking them into working the whole time, right? So
the tow truck, I call it the tow truck. Stop being a tow truck. Yeah. Right. Eventually that tow truck has to release, and it needs to go find gas, and it needs to do its own thing. So that my biggest issue is rejection. So when people say, oh, I'm not interested, or they want to quit, or they disappear, I always take it personally, but it's not about me. Sometimes there are seasons in your life, and maybe this new person that came into your life, whether it's business or personally, maybe they're just here to introduce you to the next step, or you're here to introduce them to the next step. Sometimes it's just about connections. It's just a pathway to the next highway.
I mean, sometimes they were just there so they could get some products, and you were just about able to get enough little bit of volume so that you could get whatever level that you were working on. And that's not selfish to say that. Sometimes it was just that little bit of magic that you manifested, where you have 4 or 5 people join the last day of the month, and you're like, whoa, they all put in 200 in volume and I hit my goal. And you're like,
that was my Maui story.
The next day, where'd they go? Well, maybe one of them stuck around, and that was who you were meant to work with. It doesn't mean we're all kind of in there for a season when we just release that need to feel responsible, that need to figure it out. Why, what can I do? You're not doing anything wrong. We have so many systems, and we have so many trainings. We have so many power hours. We have so many things. The right people are going to grab on. I see someone like Beth Westland, who's here. I don't know where she came from. She's amazing. She's in my team, and she has brought in a couple people who really resonate with me, and I love them. Right. And she's a Ruby, and she teaches power hours now. I don't know where she came from. She just she just came in, and she's amazing. And she was proactive. She became very independent, like determined, and she saw the vision like we did, right? Right. And sometimes people see a little bit of the vision, but sometimes people like her or you or I, we see the big vision, and we know, and we just start sharing it with people. So it's not, I did the same thing I did with her as I've done with other people in my team. And she's like 4, 5, 6 levels down from she's over in another, whatever, but like suddenly she became part of this active leadership group in my team, right? Because she chose to do that. I mean, we give them all the same tools. So we can't just stop. Don't blame yourselves for the people who don't see and don't create. And you never know when they're going to come back, and you never know when they're just going to place an order. Sometimes they love the products, and that's all they want, and that's okay. But we cannot force people to want to be here or want to stay, or it just becomes yucky, and then you're just
it wraps it up to saying what you were just saying about protecting your energy, because you're putting that out there, right? And that's why the right people aren't coming back. It's hard. It's a really hard thing to do, to not take it so personally. And I think that's why most people within 60 days give up on network marketing, because they're just
well, it's that missed expectations. They have expectations, they didn't meet them, and then a lot of people want to put the blame on something. Don't allow the blame to come to you either, because again, we have the systems, we have all the things. I tell people, the more you message me, the more I know that you want to do this and that you're excited. So don't ever say sorry. Don't ever be like, I'm sorry to bug you. No, you bug me. Keep giving me the stuff. I want to answer all your questions.
I had a girl say this not too long ago, where she's like, I need to stop asking people about she goes, the more people I ask, the more friends I'm losing. And then I asked her, I said, what do you mean? And she's like, every time I ask somebody about looking at what I do or looking at the product or looking at the opportunity, I've had people block me or unfriend me. And I'm like, but those are not your real friends. Those are not people that care about you. Those are people that are not in line with your vision. And she's like, if I keep going the way I'm going, I'm not going to have any friends left. And I looked and I felt horrible for her. And I was like, because she's going through a lot. And I said, these are not your friends. These are not the people you're meant to be with. So
I'd also want to look at her messages. I'd also be curious what she's sending to them.
Yeah, I don't know what she's sending, but she's like, she's like, even her family is blocking her. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But there's also a lot more to that. But at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather have one really good friend than have 10 not so good friends? Right?
Yeah.
It's all about that. So it's about protecting your boundaries. It is so key, you guys. It's just, I love that we're talking about this. This is why we're here. This is what we're talking about. Did we have a number 4? Did we talk about number 4?
Yes, number 4.
Okay, our last one.
Number 4 is motion,
Mm.
action, movement. So in human life, action I'm going to just read what I wrote down earlier. In human life, action, saying yes to something, deciding something, it allows things to be created. So so basically you're going to be able to create in your mind, you're visualizing, you're imagining, and then you're going to focus your attention on things, and you're going to make sure that you're going in that direction with your mindset, right? And then you're having the feelings about it are so important. If our feelings are off, if they're off kilter, nothing's going to be right. That I think is one of the most important ones. But then taking the action. So this is where a lot of people, a lot of people, if you're like me, you learned about the law of attraction 15 years ago or whenever it was that a big deal of The Secret came out, right?
Yeah.
But there was something missing from a lot of what people were learning there, and they didn't get was that you have to have the law of action too. Like that's just, you can't just sit in your bed and, I'm just going to see myself doing this. You have
to message me
too.
Yeah, post and hope.
So I've always said, see it, feel it, believe it. But then also I've recently added on my little paper that I have here, see it, feel it, believe it, do it.
Do it.
So it's got to have action. You have to have action. And if you're not taking massive action, then it's going to be a slow go, with anything. So make a decision, say yes to something, say yes to what it is that you want, and take your massive action and go forward.
And don't figure out what it's going to be or how you're going to get there. Just do it and it'll just come to play. It's with our ATM, right? Add, tag, message, but I always add the follow-up. Add, tag, message, but don't stop there. Follow up. Add, tag, message, follow up. Add, tag, message, follow up. You just do it over and over, and it just becomes this repetitiveness. And then all of a sudden, boop, 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 you're going to see it, because if you don't follow up, your people are just going to sit there. And imagine if you didn't follow up. And what the fortune is in the follow-up, and that's everything. That's not just business, that's just in general, right? It's like, I'm going to have a birthday party on this date, I'll let you know. Okay, what if you never let them know? They're going to be like, is that party happening? I don't even know if that party is happening. She told me it was going to happen, but I never got an invitation. It's the same thing. So thinking of it that way. So I love that. I love all of those 4 keys. It's so important to put it into motion. So again, with the slamming of the door, when the door opens up, take a peek inside, look what's around, take that first step, and then take another step and just see where it leads you. Because we have the systems, we have everything you need to get you to the next level. But if you don't show up, there's literally no point. There's literally no point. So,
so do we feel like we have time for, it's 8:25 my time? So if any, I would say just like 5-10 minutes. I feel like we could do this all night. So that's why we need to do it again, right? But if anybody wants to jump on and say anything, we do want it to be a discussion, a roundtable. But Stephanie and I wanted to kind of share with you like our feelings and thoughts on the basis of what we talk about here, and then see how it resonates with everybody. If anybody wants to contribute, unmute yourself and you can chat and
even feedback. I would love feedback as well. Just letting us know, because I think every time we do this, it'll be like you did your 4 points, which we didn't even really talk about. We just kind of rolled with it. And that's,
I know,
it's great. I love it. And we both even said that earlier. So we're just going to go with the vibe, feel the emotions and go with it. Where next time, maybe we can talk about laws of attraction, or how there's steps in, there's so many things we can talk about.
Well, it's funny because you had some ideas, I think. And I remember earlier going, we didn't have a plan. And I thought, I'm just going to tell Stephanie to take it away. And then I heard this stuff right before, and I really believe in everything happening for a reason. So I was like, wait a minute, can I do this? Like, I feel like I need to share, because we really want to give people the breakdown and the idea of what it means to manifest, to create things. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like it was like a sign that I found this list, all these things I know, but to have them organized like that, I was like, oh, that's cool. So thank you for letting me kind of take over and start that.
And I actually did some points, but it was kind of more jumbled in general. So this broke it down even.
That's what mine would have been too. But I literally came across this list on a video I listened to, and I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. That feels like a training session rather than just us blah, 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 like that. Oh, that's what I would have done. Squirrel. Right? Oh, so somebody's saying something in the chat.
It's really good. This is really encouraging me to keep going forward. Yes, that's it. Just keep going forward. It's just like that day, you know, you're in the car and for some reason you hit every green light. And when you get to your destination, you got the very first parking spot. That is the energy. That's what we're talking about, you guys. This is what we're talking. If you're in a rush, try it. I'm going to give everybody some homework. But please continue to write something in the chat if you want to. It's up to you. But here's some homework. So tomorrow, all day, try to manifest your day. So let's say you're going to work or you're going to a store, and just say, I'm going to get there and it's going to be a very smooth drive and I'm going to get a parking spot right away. And when I get there, I'm going to go into the store and there's not going to be a lineup. Just certain things like that. Or when you're going to get your coffee, or when you're going somewhere, there's not going to be 50 people ahead of me. And just manifest certain little things like that and see what happens. Because it's magical when stuff like that happens. It is so incredible. And when you see something happen, it's gonna blow you away. And the more you tap into it, the more it's gonna happen. So do that to yourself tomorrow. Pick something and have good energy before you leave the house and see what happens.
I already have like 3 or 4 things that I want to talk about. So I'm like, I'm just going to take notes.
I have a list of boards
all week long. I'm just going to take notes on the things I want to touch on, and we're just going to have to ping pong it again the next time, like rather than.
Right. Yeah. So Debbie wrote here, she goes, this meeting, it was really great. I'm a holistic practitioner, and these pointers are so important in all areas of our life, right? And this is all intertwined with sickness and health and toxins, right? And I chose to not, because I felt it on a cellular level.
I love that.
It's all connected. And see, just doing this right now, I feel more free, more alert, more alive, more awake, more in tune, because we're releasing some of this stuff. So when you don't have those boundaries and you let those energies in, it affects you on a cellular level. And, you know, you may be going through some health and wellness stuff, but it's all connected: mental, gut, physical, spiritual, all of the things.
Like I said earlier, the word disease, for years I've called it dis-ease, because whatever it is, it's a dis-ease within us that creates so much of the ailments we have. So you know, our products are in alignment with what I believe. And then on top of that, like, our mindset is like, if it doesn't all connect, like, it just, oh man, we can create such disharmony in our bodies.
So much.
And it's so important.
That's where a lot of, like, my gut health when I was younger, was a teenager in college, was all connected to emotional trauma and anxiety. 115%. It was all connected to that. We need more of this. This is the stuff I want to hear, because Beth says we need more of this. A lot of people focus on the negative way too often and dwell. Dwelling is like stewing in a bath that has been run for a week. Imagine sitting in the same bathtub for a week. Like, it's just
the whole thing about, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yes. Yes. And what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah.
Focus on the positive and you will get more out of it. Right. So no one would ever make a bath and sit in it for a week. That's just gross. You got to release the plug and let it drain out. So I love this feedback, you guys. It's nice to hear that there's a space for this, because we are in the health and wellness space, but it's all connected. And when you connect that energy, we literally feel the vibrations of each other coming up. I can feel it in this room. I can feel it in this chat, right? I just feel the energy. And when you tap into each other, you can literally see more clearly. Thank you.
And I know it sounds crazy, because a lot of people, especially knowing how I am and who I am, but I think there was part of me that was just very, a little bit fearful that this wouldn't resonate with enough people, or it wouldn't be well received. Right. But this is, I mean, I've lived my life like this, and it's been a work in progress for so long, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not perfect, but I've just learned, because I've done it so long,
Right.
I've gotten really good at like the shifting of the mindset, right? Oh. I hear it, my knee-jerk reaction, the human reaction, I recognize it. I say, thank you, please. Yeah. That's another thing I want to talk about next week 2, or the next time, is being thankful for all of what we see as negative, right? So we'll get more into that later, but I see the thing, I recognize it, and I say, thank you. And then I stop and I shift to a new mindset. I create a new reality. I create my own reality all the time, right? So
and you were fearful.
Shifting. Yeah.
And even you just said it, you were fearful about what the response would be, but you showed up anyways. And we even talked before this.
And I needed you.
We're going to protect our energy.
Yeah, I needed a co-creator. I didn't need it, but I wanted it. I was manifesting having a co-creator, and I love that you're willing to do this with
100%. And it allows me to have a voice too. Like, I feel like sometimes I didn't get a voice until I had kids. I never stood up for myself. Never. I let people walk all over me my whole life. I was like, okay. But then once I had kids, no one can speak for them. I have to speak for them. I have to have their voice. And so sometimes when you link arms with other people, it allows you to have your voice. Yeah. See, Sue, it's always a work in progress, my friend, right? This is me. Yeah, that's it. And it's a skill you have to learn to perfect. So every time you see yourself saying something negative, or saying the words, I can't, I won't, I don't, I can't, it just, the second you say it, catch yourself. Start teaching yourself to catch yourself.
Implement all this stuff into the thing. Tina Joy Carroll is going to have a whole, what does it start, Friday or Monday. Saturday? Monday. A whole big thing about how to earn the cruise, you guys. So while you're doing those actions, which we want you to take the actions she's going to teach you, but we want you to keep your mind clean and in a positive, forward moving with all of this stuff, manifesting it in your head while you're taking the actions that she gives you. And again, like Stephanie said, stop with the don't and won't and I can't and I'm not, like,
not you're even try do
do. And you're gonna have those feelings, those thoughts, but it's quickly recognize it. Even if you have to be like, oh, I hear Angela in my head, she says, shift your mindset, even if it's all day.
Get rid of the jellyfish, get rid of it. I see jellyfish everywhere. Get rid of it. It's like posting about the cruise. Don't say I'm trying for the cruise, or I'm trying to earn the cruise. Say I'm going on this cruise. Who's coming with me? I am going on this cruise. Who's coming with me? And just have it in your mind. One of the girls on my team said the same thing. She's actually going on her honeymoon that same week. And she's like, we are planning our honeymoon around the cruise. She goes, I'm on the cruise. I've told people I'm going on a cruise. So everyone thinks they've booked a cruise for their honeymoon. But she's like, no, we're actually going to leave from Miami after the cruise and go somewhere else for another week. But she's like, I'm already going on that ship. Come hell or high water, I am going to be on that boat. And so she's going, and I believe her 1,000%. And wouldn't you want to be on a cruise ship with somebody who believes in themselves that much, saying, okay, well, she's going, so I better go. Right?
Absolutely.
So much fun. So thank you.
Well, does anybody have anything that they want to contribute or talk? Unmute yourself. We'd love to hear anything. Anybody wants to contribute, say anything.
There's some really good messages in the chat too.
Comments. Yeah, you guys don't have to just comment, and I wasn't always a positive person, but I continue. If you want to unmute, just unmute and start talking. But otherwise, I'll just read some of these. Enjoyed all the positive points. I appreciate your goal for sharing. This was amazing. Thank you, ladies. I wasn't always a positive person, but I continue to work on it daily. This meeting just made it much easier. I love that, Sue. I'm so grateful. That's why we wanted to do this, because even if it's like a few people, or if it turns into 100 people at some point, we don't care. We want to just, whoever it's meant to be heard by.
You're meant to hear it. These people were meant to be on our first date.
That's right.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you coming here tonight with us. Keep doing this. Okay. She told us we have to do this.
We will. Even if just a few people show up, we'll just keep doing it. I don't know when we'll do it. We'll figure it out. Next week, we'll do one at some point. We're going to do the talk and we'll share. We'll probably share it with the whole company too. I'm fine with if people want to.
Look at all the love. We're getting tons of love. I love this.
Oh, I didn't know, Bob, and I didn't know you were even on here.
Sherry,
Hi. I didn't
welcome.
get a chance to even see who was all in the picture.
This is what fills my cup right here. This is what fills my cup. So figuring out what fills your cup, this is what fills my cup. And
I could do this every day, all day long.
Yeah. And you and I are being authentic, and we're really, we're going to be honest, guys, we're stepping out of our comfort zone 1000%. I do not share this with anyone unless I know it's going to be understood. So when you tap into who you truly are and connect with people who understand you, magical things happen, and you find your vibe attracts your tribe. Can't wait for the next one. Yes, Corey.
Corey's my new little rock star. She hit Opal, and
oh, it's so much fun.
Amazing what this company can do if you have the belief in yourself, you guys. Just believe in your.
She's like, I missed it, but because I was working, but I needed this 1000%.
Oh, Deanna, you're so sweet. We'll share it. We'll share it sparingly. We'll see.
Oh,
we'll see.
Stephanie. I didn't know Steph was here. Thanks, Steph. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
It feels like we've been here for 5 minutes, but we're gonna wrap this up, and we will do this again next week. So stay tuned for the next time slot. We're and we'll have I got so many notes, and apparently so do you.
I'll let you head it next time. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Watch out for those jellyfish. Bye.
Oh, actually, I guess you got to stop recording, right?
Yeah, I'll stop recording, and then